Using components is one of the best ways to speed up your workflow in Adobe Xd, and it also allows you to create some really cool interactions. So in today's video, I'm going to start from the very beginning with components. We'll create one together and give it a few different states and even animate it. Then I'll give you a few tips and share some of the ways that I use components most frequently throughout my workflow. So first things first, what exactly is a component? Well, a component in Adobe Xd is similar to symbols in other design tools, and they're used in a really similar way. So basically it is a group of elements that is grouped together, and you can reuse it across your document and even across different documents if you save it into a library. And this comes in handy because what you want to be able to do is edit just one main component and see those changes across multiple components throughout your document. But you also want to maintain flexibility, which is why you can create different instances of these components and even different states. And then you can animate from state to state, and this creates really nice micro interactions so that it really limits the amount of screens you need to design in order to prototype something. So let's go ahead and make a component together so that you can see what I mean. Okay, so we have the screen here, and now what I want to do is make a component that is a list item for different types of foods. So I'm going to do that now, and I'll speed through this because I really want to get to the part about the component itself and what we can do with it. Okay, so now we have all of these elements, and I've kind of set it up like a template where I don't have real information in here, but I more just have some guidance and some placeholder text and a placeholder mask for when I actually have the instances of these components. So this main component will sort of just act like a template for me. So what I'm going to do is group this together, and then I'm going to hit Command K or Control K for Windows on my keyboard as a shortcut to make it into a component. Then once I do that, the component is saved in my components section of my document assets. So I can go in and name this. I'm going to name it Food List Item. And now I can actually drag this out as many times as I want, and I can have, tons and tons of these components. I can also copy and paste. I can do Command C, Command V to copy and paste. I can do the shortcut of holding down Option and dragging and duplicating it in that way. And all the while, this is going to remain the main component. And I know this because it has the filled in diamond as opposed to the outlined diamond. So that is the indicator that this is the main component. And because this is the main component, whenever I make a change on this one, like let's say I make this little indicator stripe red, then you see it's going to change on all of them. However, if I undo that and then just make a change on one of the instances, it will not reflect in all of the other components. So you can see, even if I have tons here, I can just choose one and edit one of these instances, and it will only edit that one instance, which really comes in handy because you can choose whether you want to make a change that is global or make a change that is local. So maybe for this particular example, we want to have 3 different states. One for when the food is fresh, and we can make that our default state. Then maybe we want one for when the food is going bad, like at risk of going bad, so you have to eat it quickly, or where it is completely spoiled. And so let's create those states now. So what we're going to do is tap into our component and go up to this section here where we see component main, and there's a plus icon right next to the default state. So we're going to create a new state, and we will call this spoiled. Okay, so then now that we are selected on the spoiled state, meaning this is kind of highlighted in the light blue, then we can make the change and it will only apply to that state. So first we want to change this text, and we also want to turn this red to show that it's spoiled. So now we can toggle back and forth between these. And so let's do that one more time. We'll create a new one that is going bad. And you can really name these whatever you want depending on what project you're working on, of course. So I'm going to say about to spoil, and we will make this the orange to show kind of like caution. Okay, so now that we have these 3 states, it makes it so much quicker for us to build out our page. So I am just going to create a few more of these by duplicating them, and I'm just making sure there's the same amount of space between each. That's perfect. And now when I go in, I can just change a few of these. And as you can see, we now have all of these different state options in all instances of this component. So that's what helps you save so much time when using components. Okay, now let's get into something a bit more fun where we can actually animate between states. So the states we just set up here, you probably wouldn't animate between them. Like maybe you would do a color fade or something simple like that, but I want to do something a bit more exciting. So what we're going to do is actually change this component a bit so that we have room for what I want to do. So what I'm going to do here is actually give us room for an icon to go over here. So I'm going to get a trash icon, and I am just going to add that here. We will put the border down there, and gotta make it big enough to be tappable. We'll make this whole area tappable around here. Okay, and again, I want to make sure this is actually inside of the component, so I'm just going to do cut and double click in and paste it in there. Okay, perfect. So now we'll give this a different color actually. Awesome, and so now we can have all of these list items here. So now I'm gonna prototype what it would be like to delete one of these line items. So basically what we want is another state that is deleted. Okay, perfect. So now we want the deleted state to be where all of this stuff besides the trash can, we'll group that together so it's much easier. We'll just call it list item and we'll call this trash. Okay, we want for this list item stuff to slide that way and basically disappear. And we also want for this to disappear. And so that is going to look really nice. And so now we have to kind of hover over, bring this back. We'll go back to this one. And what we're going to do is set up this animation. So in prototype mode, I just toggled to prototype mode up here. What we're going to do is double tap until we get on to this icon that we want to have tapped. And we're just going to click on it. We don't need to drag it anywhere. We just need to click on it in order to do an interaction between 2 different states as opposed to 2 different artboards. So tap, that's perfect. We also like auto animate, and the state is going to be deleted. And I think 0.3 seconds is good. Maybe we'll do snap, that might be nice. And so now let's see exactly what this looks like if we preview it. Perfect. As you can see, that was really quick, but it did work really nicely, and you can do it with all of these now. And so that is really fun. And what I might do actually, so that it makes a little bit more sense, is duplicate this artboard, and whenever that is tapped, then we might have a trigger that will, so this will be disappeared. Then we might have something that will move all of this up. And you can really easily do all of that using auto animate and all of that stuff, but we won't get to that at the moment. So that is how you create an animation between 2 different states of a single component. And again, the great thing about that is I can then have this on any other artboard, and those same interactions will work exactly the same. Just to show you a few more examples of when I really like to use this, we'll put a hover state on this button, and this button currently is on a mobile device, but you would never do that on mobile. You would obviously only do it on desktop for hover because you can't hover with your thumb. But I will, just for the sake of this example, we will do that. Okay, so I have this button here and I'm just going to group it and do Command K in order to make it into a component. We will name it button, and as you can see, now it is here in our, oh, that's not how you spell button. Now it's here in our components library. So now let's give this another state. We'll give it a hover state. And all I'm going to do in the hover state is just make this a little bit lighter, this color. Cool. And as you can see, I have this weird thing here in order to make my scanning icon. We'll just make that the same color too. Okay, cool. So now if we preview this, we'll put it back to the default. We'll preview this again. And you can see here, when I hover over it, it is turning into that color. And that's just a really simple way to use these types of interactions. Another way that I like to do this is with a toggle. So again, this wouldn't all be on one app screen. I'm just showing you some fun examples. We'll make it really big to get the point across here. So to create a really simple toggle is so easy, because we're just going to create kind of what it looks like here. We will group this and make it a component, and we will call this toggle. And then we will make a new state, and we'll just name it right, because we want the toggle to kind of move to the right. So we just literally double tap in there and move it to the right, and maybe it changes colors when we move it to the right. Who knows? And then we can set up interactions between these things. So let's go into prototype mode. And if we tap on here, then we want it to snap over to the default state. And then if we go back in design mode to the default state, and then we tap on here, we want it to snap over to the state on the right. So now, again, let's preview what that would look like. And there you go. I just created a toggle in like less than a minute. It is super, super easy, and you could get so much more fun and fancy with things like this. I hope this was helpful if you're new to Xd and wanting to learn more about components. If you like this video, you will definitely like my playlist of all of the Xd tutorials that I have created. So feel free to check that out, give this video a like, and hit subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.